Hello, hopefully all of you are doing good. Wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year 2024. Hopefully all of you had really amazing holidays. Even I had amazing holidays as well. So let's continue working on whatever this concept deep learning app we were working on before, right? So in the last video we just talked about by creating a very simple React component using Splunk UI toolkit in a Splunk app, right? Now we will extend that idea to build something more complex as well in this particular video. So in this video what we will try to do is we will try to build a image classifier using TensorFlow in Splunk UI toolkit. Okay, so let's jump into it. So in the previous video I have shown you like how to create a document uploader or image uploader using two ways, right? Either using a generic file uploader or a simple image uploader. Now we will go ahead and delete certain codes over here. Now first of all we will just make some cleanup over here. These things we do not require it at all. So what we will do is from our index.js, which is present inside this deep learning app YouTube, then source main web app page start and index.jsx over here. Okay, so these two things we will just delete it. We do not require them. So this is the first change we will do, and just to see whether this change works or not, as I was showing previously, like, so if you just press F12 and go to this network tab where you have this disable cache cleaned up over here, okay, and then it should automatically take the changes over here. Okay, now we will use the file uploader. So this is the component we were working on before, right? So we will use this component only. So we will make this component as a image classifier component kind of stuff. Okay, so I will just not use this file based component as of now. Okay, so we'll remove that one. So we'll just start with a very simple image uploader. So if I just go back to the documentation of that image uploader over here, so they have a very simple code over here, right? So there is a props called on image change. So what to do when we upload some image over there, right? So it fires this particular callback over here. So this callback is passed basically the file name and the data URI as well of that image, which will be useful for us, which basically this is nothing but the image content, that base64 content over here. So we can use this content to read the image and then classify it. So we will do the similar stuff over here as well. So if I just see this image component has this on image change, right? So we will use this one as well over here. Now this have basically using a callback called handle on image change. So let us define that as well. So in the example they have given in the documentation, so it's basically printing that image name, file name, as well as the data URI over here. So let us use that and let us see how it looks like first. Okay, so it should be outside the return. We need to define it. If I just save it and do a similar kind of refresh here, okay, and refresh this page over here. So ideally you should be having a single component over here. Now let me go to console tab, and let's say if I upload some image over here, let's say an image of an apple. So if you see, it basically give you the name of the file as well as like first 500 characters. I think this is what it is, first 50 characters. It is slicing it basically from the data URI. Okay, that is what it is displaying over here. So, and if you see, like, this is the base64 encoded string over here, right? So which will be a very bigger string based on the file. So that is what we are capturing it over here. Now what will be our strategy to classify this particular image over here, right? So we will do that one, but first of all let us create a the main skeleton what we are trying to do it over here. So we are planning to create a button over here which will basically name as classify. So once we click on the button, it should classify the image and show it into a table, right? So for that we need a button. So if I just go to a button code, I can just simply take any of it over here, right? So I'll just take this one, button. And if I just go over here, so after this image we are just giving the button over here. So let's give a name of this button as classify. If I just save it, let us try to see it now, how it looks like. Okay. So if you see, it is giving me an error called button is not defined because I forgot to include this import over here in our file. So let us do that. I can remove this file based uploader over here and do this one, and let us try to see it now. So we have a button over here. If I just make it a bigger, so we have a button over here, right? But it is like, let us work on its style a bit so that it has some kind of margins here as well. So what I'll do is, so to style a particular button, what you can do is you can basically pass a style prop over here. Okay, let's say let's give its margin top and bottom as 20 pixels and 10 pixels. Let's make it as 0 pixel over here, and we need to wrap it up. So this is for the style. This curly bracket is for the style, and we need to wrap it up inside a React curly braces as well. Okay, so this will be by style over here, and on press of this button we need to do something. We need to classify the image, right? So if you go to the button props over here, so there is a prop called on click over here, so you can use any function over here, right? So let's create that structure over here as well. So on click, we will try to do something over here. We will call an method called classify image over here, which will define it over here, something like const classify image, right? So where it will be a simple function with no input over here, right? An arrow function. For now I will just say console.log will classify image here. Okay, so as of now we will have this body of this method later, but we are just creating the skeleton now. So we have the button, we have the image uploader. Now we need a table as well over here, right? So similar way we will be doing it. So if I just go back to that React UI documentation, so there is a thing called table. I can just click on show code. First of all, we need to import that table over here. So let us do that. And then we will just, if you see it's just a table component with the table header and the table body. It's very simple one. And in the table body, it's basically looping through this data and showing it. So let us copy this one here. So I'll just copy it over here. And if you see it, like it just the component and their style, using this one only you can build a very amazing UI in React, right? So we need to have this data. So as of now I will just copy it from here. Latter part, this data will be coming from my image. Okay, so what I will do is I will define the data over here just to show you like how the table looks like. So once this arrangement is done, I will just go over here. I will just open the network tab and I will refresh it over here. Okay, so if you see it now, we have a button, we have a uploader, and we have a table as well over here. In the table structure, we will be changing it later, but at least we have it. And once we click on classify, so it should, if you just go to console, it should print this one as well, okay, where the actual classification will happen. So we have built the initial skeleton of it. Now let's fill it up. Let's make modifications. Before that, if you want to add any kind of icons in your button, so if I just go back, let me show you that one as well. So in your button, and if you go to the props of it, so there is a prop called icon over here, okay. So applies an icon on the button. So if I just say, and for this one you need to see this React icons. So if I just open this API docs, there is a thing called React icons over here. So you can use this one to add icons to your React projects. So if I just go to icons over here, so there are a lot of different icons over here. I'll just choose a very simple one. I'll choose this one here. So for that, what you need to do, you need to first import this one. I'll just copy it here. I will be pasting it over here, and then this is the one I have to use, the icon class. I have to use it as a part of this icon props, right? So if I just go back to my button, and in the icon, I'll just give inside this curly braces the icon class name here. So it should display the icon over here. So if I just go back over here and do the similar refresh, so the button should be having an icon shown as well over here, like this. So you can play around with this one. So now this is ready. So once I upload it, so that uploaded image, if I just go back to my code, so once I uploaded an image, so this handle image change will be getting called, right, with the file name and the image data URI. Now I want to save this image data URI because this is what we are going to use it for our classification. That's the actual image data, right? So for that, if you remember, like initially in the last video, we have created this use state, this file content and set file content over here, right? So this file content will be having the actual image data, and this file content will be updated using this set file content over here, right? So what I'll do is I will copy this one and I will call the set file content over here, and what it will set, it will set the image data URI over here, right? So that means whenever I will upload any image using this image uploader, my file content variable will have the value of that base64 encoded string over here. Okay, so that portion is done. I can remove this console.log as well, as it is not required now. Okay, now the actual part, how to classify an image. Now as we are in the, because if you remember, like if we are in the Python code, we can use TensorFlow to classify any kind of image, right? TensorFlow or Keras libraries. Now we are in the React.js now. So for that, TensorFlow has a JS models as well. So if you go to tensorflow.org/js/models, you will find a lot of models which you can use it in your JS code to do a lot of things. Now for us, we are going to use this image classification. If you see like object detection, semantic segmentation, face detection, there are a lot of models you can use it over here. So if I click on this image classification, so it basically a mobilenet model over here, okay, which is a pre-trained model which you can use it to classify an image. In the future videos, we will try to see like how we can train our model based on a pre-trained model as well, okay, which is basically a transfer learning, which we will try to see it, and also we will try to visualize a neural network and those kind of stuff I am planning to do. So let's see how far we can go it. So if you see, to use the mobilenet, so there are a lot of ways you can use it. So either you can have it as a script tag, which you can do it, or you can use it via npm, which we are going to do it now. Okay, and then there are a lot of others way as well. And now how the model works, if you see it, like once you install that particular TensorFlow models mobilenet, you can first of all load the model using a async method called mobilenet.load, and then you using this model classify method, you can basically classify an image over here. But one thing you need to remember over here, this image needs to be in the tensor format, right? If you would have seen my deep learning videos, I have discussed about what tensor is and how to represent tensor and what are the different kinds of tensors are available as well. Probably I will give that video description videos links in my videos over here as well, so that you can take a look. But if you see, the current image we are uploading over here is base64 encoded format. So we need a way to convert that particular image to a tensor as well, for which we are going to, there are a lot of libraries available. So I find this library is much more easier to use, that's why I'm using it. So this is called base64 to tensor. This is also available in npm, so we can use that. So it provides two methods. One is a sync method by using this package jpeg-js. Another is a async method, which is provided by using this package sharp. Probably we can use this jpeg-js to make it very simple. Okay, but it has a dependency on TensorFlow core as well, so which we need to use it for our purpose. Okay, so these are the things. So there are a couple of things, as I discussed, needs to be installed. So let us do one by one. So for this purpose, I actually created a document which is all the dependent packages we need to successfully work on this one. So I will just install one by one over here. Okay, and then once it is done, we will come back to our code base and do the coding over here, right? So first of all, what I'll do is, currently it is watching my changes over here, right? So I'll just stop it as of now using Control C. If you're in Mac, I think it will be Command C, right? So let me show you this is how I will be doing it. So yarn add TensorFlow models mobilenet. So this is what I will be doing it over here as well. So you should be in the file uploader component to do that. So if I just show you the code structure, currently we having it under packages. We have two things, a component and a Splunk app, right? So as we are trying to do all these things for this component, right? So that's why I will be going to the component folder first. So packages and then file uploader. So if you see it under file uploader, there is a, if I just minimize it, so there is a package.json. So we will be installing those packages for this component over here only. Okay, so now once I am inside this file uploader component, I can just easily then copy it and let me go back over here and paste it over here. Okay, so once everything is installed, so I'll just install one by one those packages. I will give this packages link or packages name in my video description as well, so that you can quickly check it. So I'll come back once the installation is completed. Okay, so I have installed all these packages over here. So if you just go to file uploader package.json, so these things should be shown up over here as well. Now for TensorFlow to run it, it requires a backend as well over here, as you can see it, right? So this is important. So backend means, like, because all these machine learning models, at the end of the day, it's a kind of a matrix multiplication as well, right? Behind the scene, it stores how it stores the matrices and how it do the matrix multiplications, and all based on that the backend also changes over there. So for that there are a lot of backends, like either you want to run it on CPU or GPU, or WebGL is also very much famous as well. So we are going to use the WebGL backend over here. So that is the reason I have install this particular package as well over here. Okay, so I will give you this link as well, and probably in later videos we need to discuss these things in detail, so probably we will discuss in that part as well, but as of now let us make it very simple over here. Okay, so it requires a backend, and we are going to use the WebGL backend as of now. So once this setup is done, now again I have to watch it. So again but while watching it I need to go back to the main root folder of our code, right? And then yarn run start over here, so that I can watch the application as well as the component changes as well. Okay, so let us start it, then we will start our coding part. Okay, now let us move on to the coding part. So as we have seen it over here, so let us close this one. So the image classification should happen when we click on the button over here, right? So that means we need to go to our classify image over here. So we have a single one. So now first of all let us import the packages we have there, right? So to use the TensorFlow core, you can use it something like this one, import star as TensorFlow from TensorFlow tfjs-core. So if you just go to package.json, so this is the one. Okay, so if you see it looks similar like Python TensorFlow as well over here, right? Similarly we will import the WebGL, and also we will import the mobilenet over here as well. Now if you go to base 64 to tensor, right? So you can import it something like this one over here, convert or convert async, based on which packages, because we are using the jpeg-js, right? So we can just import the convert over here. So if I just copy it and paste it over here, we are not going to use the convert async, so let's remove that. So these are all the imports we have to work on. Now as I shown you before, right? So how mobilenet works, so you need to basically have a async function called mobilenet.load over here, right? So let us copy this line. Now the classify image, so this is the await, because of this await statement I need to make this function async. Okay, then this error will be going. So we have loaded the mobilenet model over here using this particular statement. Let us remove this console.log over here as well. Before that we want to set the backend, tensorflow.set backend. We will just write webgl over here. Okay, now once the model is loaded, we need the file content to convert to tensor before we can call the classify method, right? So that's why this convert method will be coming into picture. So if I just go back over here, so this is how you are going to convert it from base 64. So if I just copy it here, now what is the base 64 encoded image over here? That is getting set when the image has been changed for my image uploader, right? So that time we have set the file content, so that means this file content should be having the base 64 encoded image over here. So if I just pass it over here to this convert method, it should create a tensor for us, right? So that is done. Now if I just go back to the mobilenet here, so this is how we will be classifying it, right? So that means classify, what we will classify? We will classify this tensor over here. We will be passing this tensor to this classify method and do the predictions over here. Let us try to see the predictions, what it is happening. So console.log, if I do the predictions over here, so ideally it should predict whatever image I am uploading it over here, right? So let us go back, let us press F12, do the similar way of refreshing, right? So if there are any errors, it should show up over here. So there is no error currently. Now if I upload an image, so let's upload an image of an apple. Okay, and so that means once I uploaded it, my file content will be having the base 64 encoded image URI there, right? Now once I click on the classify, if I just go to F12, because we have console.log it here, right? So it should show up the predicted values over here. If you see it, it shows me 3 predictions over here. Okay, so once that model has been loaded and it classified it, it took certain amount of time, and so it's giving me the class name as well as the probability of over here. So it is basically saying like this class has the probability of 47%, something like that. Okay, so this is good stuff. So if I just upload another one, so let's say this beer, right? So now if I just click on classify over here, so it should show me the classification for this beer as well here, using that mobilenet model over here. Okay, so now our job is very much simple. Now we have to update this table to show the classifications over here, right? So let us do work on that part. So we have the predictions. So now we want to so in this particular prediction objects actually holding 3 array elements, right? 3 elements of like the class names and the probability over here. It's an array of dictionary here, right? So that means it is a similar kind of structure, but what it is having is, instead of name, age and email, it is having the class name and the predictions, right? So let us try to save this data. So how you will be doing it? Save the state. We will be doing it in the very similar way. So we will say prediction and set prediction over here, and initial value we can just keep as blank array over here, blank list over here, right? And using this set prediction here, I will save the state here. So that means prediction will have the value of that whole classification object over here and now, right? Now inside the table, let's go back over here. So it is having a 3 headers, name, age and email based. It was because it was based on this particular data, right? So now I can say class name. We do not need this one, and we can have the probability over here. Simple 2 columns over here, and previously we were looping through this data. Now we will loop through prediction, right? So I can just remove this guy here. We do not need it now, right? So we are just looping through this prediction. So this map method takes a row object over here, which will basically have, you can access that rows different column values using row dot the column name. Now I require 2 cells over here, so I will just remove this guy over here. Okay, the first cell will have the value of row dot class name, correct? So row dot class name. Second cell will have the value of row dot probability. That is the one. And each and every table cell row requires a key as well in React, so that it can uniquely identify. So I will just use the class name as of now, okay, for the key. So that's my table over here. So if everything goes fine, the table should show me the classifications it is having it. Let us refresh it in similar way. Okay, now we do not need it. If you see it, by default it is showing a blank table because we have passed a blank list over here. This is important, that's why, right? So now if I just upload it, let's say this beer, right, and classify it. So once that model loads, it classifies it, it should update this particular table as well over here. If you see it, with all the different class names and their probabilities over here. Okay, so if you just see this cat, classify it, so it should show the 3 different classification what it thinks about, and it also gives the probability over here as well here. Okay, so using the Tensorflow.js and other dependent packages, something like base64 to tensor, we are able to create a component where you can just upload a file and classify that particular, upload an image basically, and classify that image using Tensorflow.js over here. Okay, so hopefully this video was interesting. See you in the next video with some more fun stuff.